This sucks. Um, I wrote this down, and I'm going to have to refer to it, but I may go off track, but I'm his father, and I'm going to do what I need to do here. So, first of all, I would like to thank everybody for coming. Certainly, the last, this week, you know, Carrie, Emily, and I have gone through things that nobody should have to go through, and experience things that we know that nobody wants to go through. But one of the things that has been so great is just that the outpouring of Parker's friends, my friends, Carrie's friends, people we haven't seen in years have been there and supportive, and you'd have no idea how much that means. And hearing all the stories from Parker, especially last night, just of all the things, and we knew he was, we tried to rate him in as much as we can, but hearing some of the things last night, I was like, no, like, oh no, I was like, no, I want to hear this. It's just been, because that's what he was. He was a free spirit. He lived his life like he wanted to, and for that, it's, just grateful to see. I mean, he didn't waste any time. So, first of all, to Emily, I just want to tell you how sorry we are that you're having to go through this. I know you've lost your best friend. Emily is the proud big sister of Parker. It was just a huge part of Parker's life. Watching the two of them grow up was incredibly special. They were truly best friends. They were always so loving and supportive of one another, and they could always rely on each other for anything, especially when Carrie and I were getting on them for one thing or another. Usually we're getting on Parker, and Emily was comforting Parker. Beginning in 2010, my recession job brought me to Atlanta with our family, and during that time, Carrie's father, Stephen Bergold, who Parker's named after, was passed, and that was a tremendously difficult time for our family. And to have one thing happen and the other, to have them both occur simultaneously was a huge thing. And watching those two cling to each other and grow was just absolutely phenomenal to watch. I mean, it wasn't a cliche when you see those guys together. I mean, they were truly awesome, and Emily, Parker had a lot of friends, but you were always at the top of his list. Absolutely. Parker had a lot of cousins that he didn't get to see as much as he wanted to, but he was always, whether it be Instagram or Snapchat, he was always trying to stay in touch with them and just loved them to death. And, unfortunately didn't get to see him enough. So Sunday night we got the proverbial phone call in the middle of the night, having the police show up at your door to tell you that your son's not coming home. It was just a realization of our worst nightmare. I know other parents have gone through such things, and we're not going to be, we weren't the first, and we're not going to be the last. But it's just a terrible thing, and they believe me when I know that people are saying, I don't have the words. I get it. I don't have the words, so it's all good. But I just want to tell you about our son Parker. He was born in Columbia, South Carolina, August 20th, 1999. Came into the world just under 6 pounds, had a solid tan, and just the slight definition of abs. So when John Lennon was a kid, his mother always said to him and tried to instill him, that happiness is the key to life. And when he was 5, he went to school, and they said, they gave him an assignment that said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he wrote down, happy. And they said to him, well, we don't think you really understood the assignment. And he said, I don't think you really understand life. Parker was happy. He was a happy kid. He lived his life without fear, truly, and encouraged others to do so. Some of the things he did scared the crap out of me, but Parker had two speeds. He was full speed or he was asleep. There was really not much in between. I remember at 18 months old, we took him to the beach, and here's this little kid. We'd spread out our blanket, we'd sit him down, and give him a shovel to go play in the sand. And he looks up and he stands and he sees the ocean, and his eyes just got huge, and he just goes, "Whoa!" And he booked straight to the ocean. Here's this kid. He was maybe that tall. Just started running to the ocean. And I'm thinking, all right, he'll stop before he gets there. We're seeing all these other kids that are just like scared, Parker charges right into the ocean. The first wave hits him, knocks him backwards. Most kids would cry at that point. Parker starts laughing. And he gets back up and he charges back in, and the next wave. So but that's how that's how he lived his life. I mean, it was forever charging into the sea and taking on the waves and not backing down. He had a fierce competitive spirit. Sometimes that spirit overtook common sense, especially on the lacrosse field. He would take on kids twice his size, and truly thought he could mow them down. And sometimes it worked out, sometimes not so much. But I was able to be fortunate to coach his lacrosse team for a while, and some of the kids over here, and just those times were just so special. When we got in the car after practice, we started it would be a case of, we'd have our alone time, and it's like, Parker would be like, "Dad, don't tell Mom, but," and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is great." So I'd be like, "All right, Parker, don't tell Mom, but," so, just having that relationship grow from just, being a little pipsqueak to growing into a man, and just being, being a friend, and, just being, getting to be my peer. As some of you noticed, Parker liked to spend a little time in the gym. Watching him bulk up from a skinny little kid, and oh man, he was skinny. It was a truly amazing transformation, and it really gave him a sense of confidence and a sense of purpose for his future. I mean, he wanted to be able to help people and through fitness, and was a big believer in that. As Parker grew into the man of the day, this is one of my favorite memories of Parker. He would always challenge me to a wrestling match, and I'm not little. So at first it was a case of when him wrestling, and I'd have to pretend it was hard, as I'm bending him in a pretzel and throwing him around. And then over time, then it got to be hard, and I had to pretend that it was easy, laughing as we're going through it. And and then lately it was a struggle, it was a match. He didn't win, and he would never want me to let him win. He's like, "I'm going to get you." I was like, "Oh, I know you will." I said, "But until then, I still got you." So he got to understand that old man strength was actually a real thing, despite my lack of abs. I always tell him, I said, "Why have a six-pack when you can have a party ball?" But it was, the thing with Parker, watching him grow up, it was able to, see him, from mentally, physically, and, socially, moving from being just, a kid to an adolescent to a peer and a friend, and he wasn't quite, he wasn't there, and I don't, was hoping for the day he got out of college and we were able to talk about things. And even with my father, I told, at my age, when I was Parker's age, I mean, I always thought my father was, no offense, Dad, I didn't think he was all that smart. But then as I got older, the older I got, the smarter he got. And it was one of those things where, I could tell Parker, there was a couple of times when he came back, he goes, "Oh yeah, you were right about that." And I know it killed him to say those things. So I know that God has a plan. We often don't understand his plan, but he's sovereign. And he knows what he's doing. And I take comfort in knowing where Parker is now. I can't tell you that I like his plan or think it's a good plan. I hate it, and I don't understand it. And I selfishly want him at our house and not sitting right here. And one day we'll know what that is. Maybe, I hope. But I know it's for something. But the biggest thing that gives us hope is just minutes before Parker's passing, he had a conversation with Kat's uncle, Trent. And among other things, they talked about life, and they talked about, God, and one of the things he asked if Parker knew the Lord. And Parker said, yeah, he did. And then, in a lot of cases, and one, I'm so thankful for this because at a high school graduation party, it's really usually not a conversation that usually takes place. But then the other thing is that he also followed up with, okay, well, that's great, but do you know that you're saved? And do you have salvation? And Parker paused and said, yeah, I do. And that was really the last conversation Parker had. And so we are grabbing on to the knowledge that Parker knew he was saved, he knew the Lord, and we know where he is. Like I said, I don't like it, but that's what I have. That's what we're holding on. And you heard, as we're going through Parker's Bible, you heard the verse that Jess spoke, and that was so much like Parker. And throughout this time, and we've had so many God moments that have, as we go through this, hear all these stories, hear about all these things, you just hear that Parker, he had an impact in people's lives that was positive. And, as a parent, I said this last night, I'm going off script, but I don't care, said, as a parent, you're trying to teach your kids and trying to tell them, hey, here's how you should do this, how you should do that, or just give them suggestions, try and raise them up to be the people, the people that you want them to be. And, as kids do, it's like, yeah, whatever, all right. But then hearing some of the stories, it's like, man, he did listen. He did, he was a good kid. Wasn't a perfect kid, but he was a good kid. And his heart meant, he meant well. He had a huge heart. And, I want to, from all of his friends, I mean, I want to hear those stories. I want to hear all those things. You know what? He can't get in trouble anymore, so I truly want to hear the unfiltered, non-parental version. And the thing about it is with Parker, I mean, we'd always give him grief about how much he was on his phone and this that, but he was. We always thought he was just goofing off, but he was always sending people encouraging messages, and just telling people, it was to hear all the things. It's like, oh, that's why he was spending so much time on his phone. It was just an amazing young man. So now I'm gonna say a couple things that are probably cliche, but just want to take some time to say this. So, one, just last, since Sunday night, I've been thinking about all the things that we wanted to do with Parker as a family, and with whatever, and some we did, some we didn't get a chance to do. Whether it was because I had to work, I had to do this, I had to do that, but you know what? good intentions are fine, but actions are really what counts. So just all the work stuff, all the, oh, we got to do this in the house, that doesn't mean anything. You just want to spend your time with your family. So go out there and get them done. To the kids out there, your parents love you. You have no idea how much your parents love you. They may be a pain in your neck. They may be breathing down your throat all the time. They may be giving you grief about bad grades or whatever it is, but they love you and they want you to succeed. Parents that are my age, we didn't get trophies for showing up. We didn't get, it was you, when you got a trophy, it was because you won something, not because you were just, you signed up. So we always had people in our lives pushing us and telling us and encouraging us, and so that's what we did. So with him, so it was one of those things we always did. So we took that as always, trying to instill in Parker the things that there's no participation trophies. It's just go out and do your best, and that's all you can do. So everybody fails, everybody makes mistakes. And it's how you react to them that defines our character. So, kids, understand this: your parents want you to have everything that you've dreamed of having. They support you. They believe that you can do far more than what you think you can do. You're not the product of your circumstances. You're a product of your decisions. So your parents want you to make the best decisions that you can, and so you can build your own dreams, or someone else will hire you to build theirs. And to the parents out there, your kids love you. They may not admit it, they may not show it, but they do. We're able to hear from Parker about how, despite the trouble he was in from time to time, how he knew that we were doing it because we loved him and trying to do well by him. And it was, maybe over the top to, to some of the kids, but and annoying, but they know they love you. And it's one of those things. I mean, the morning that Parker died, I was giving him grief about how messy his room was and spending time on his phone and all the normal junk that you want your kids to do, but then the next day I was like, I just wanted him to be there, and all that other stuff didn't mean a thing. So just trying to understand the difference between important and annoying. Hug them, tell them you love them every day, because you never know when it's the last time. So where do we go from here? I think we'd all take a page out of Parker's book and use it for our own. Keep charging into the sea. Take on the waves and never back down. And Parker's looking at us right now, thinking we're all a bunch of idiots because we're crying over him. And he's going, hey, guys, it's leg day. You should be at the gym. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.